So here I am doing not what I want to be doing, which is driving the car. Instead, after getting it back from the mechanic, I've done maybe 600 Ks on the bitumen and developed some rattles underneath. And guess what? The bolts in the bloody bash plates were not put back correctly. So you can see two new ones there that I've just tightened up. This one here is just loose and rattling, looks like it was stripped or something, and that's how I found it. So whether it was exactly like that when when they finished working on it, I don't know, but that's how it's been left, or that's how I found it. So yeah, I've just replaced this one here, pull down that end as well. Yeah, really frustrating to be crawling around under here again. It's a hell of a lot easier for the bloody mechanics to do this stuff when the vehicle's on a hoist, but here we are. Hey everyone, so Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, doing some trip prep for the variety trip. Now I've got this little 150 watt inverter, got this at J-Car. One of the things with the companion that's a little bit limiting is the amperage output. So it's a modified sine wave inverter. Looks like fairly standard advice inside. Don't try and service it. No use of serviceable parts inside. So the reason I've got this is so that I can actually charge my laptop. Now my laptop actually draws a fair bit of juice, so I won't be trying to run the laptop off this with a power cord while it's in use, but just trying to charge it while it's sort of in sleep mode. So the companion's sitting there at full charge, so we'll just plug that plug in. There we go. So there's no usage. Now if we turn this on, okay, I can't tell which position where this thing is on or off. Interesting. I guess we'll live and learn. There's no, this is not designed to be mounted either. So anyway, let's get the laptop. Okay, one laptop power supply. So we're just going to take this slow and steady. Now, from what I understand, the companion actually has some built-in protection, so if you try and overload it, it will protect itself. Okay, so this power supply for the laptop doesn't actually have a light on it either. Okay, so let's try charging the GoPro batteries first. Okay, no dice. Okay, so definitely charging from there. So we're drawing 4 watts charging the GoPro batteries direct off the unit. So that's good, but doesn't seem to want to Okay, so it's got me beat. I just took this and plugged it into the cigarette lighter outlet on the dash. Little green light there came on, and now it's charging the GoPros. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That seems to be just for the mains. It does draw more power, so this switch here seems to be turning the inverter on and off. So it's drawing 4 watts charging the GoPros through the USB. So it appears, and then when we turn that on, it jumps up to 7 watts. Okay, so we've got the inverter working. We'll unplug those. All right, this will be the test whether something triggers when we plug the laptop in. That was short-lived. Okay, so it's drawing 43 watts and it's charging the laptop. That is cool. So drawing 43 watts, yeah. I'm not going to start this thing up because this can draw a lot of power when it wants to. So that's really cool. So yeah, I definitely think I'm reaching the limits of what I can do with the companion. I'm not loving the way that plug sits in there, to be honest, but I'm probably going to cut that off and plug it into the Anderson just so it's a better connection. That's really cool. So there's my laptop charging. So as I said, this thing draws a bit of power. It's an MSI. For the computer nerds out there, it's MSI i7 11th gen, running an RTX 3070. So yeah, so far so good with this little charger. I really, or inverter I should say, I really like the fact that that USB port works whether or not it's turned on. So all I have to do now is figure out the new mounting system for this and how that's all going to work. So yeah, one job at a time. So just checking back in on the inverter, charging the laptop. It's probably been going half an hour or so while I've been doing some work on MaxTrax brackets and such things. So down to 94%, and it's warmed up to the point that the fan's running, but it's not what you'd call hot. So laptop still charging. A few more things that I picked up for this trip. So some sand pegs here, some sleeves for the snorkel, and these angled brackets here from Kaon. Here we go. As always with everything from Kaon, really nicely packaged. Comes with all the fixings that you're going to need. Yeah, so they'll be going up on the front there. They'll be going up on the front there to give me a bit more rack space. Okay, so I've got the MaxTrax pins off the old brackets. Let's get a look at these guys. I think I said earlier, Kaon stuff's generally well packaged. Well, these are really nicely made. Really nicely made. Okay, yeah, these are really, look, I think these are actually nicer machine than the original ones I've got. You can probably see there
Kaon sort of engraved or etched on the steel. So yeah, really cool. All right, we're gonna pins go on there for the curious. These are lock nuts. So yeah, these are the MaxTrax pins, and they go obviously on there. For the curious, those nuts on the end are lock nuts, 17mm. So regular watchers of the channel will be familiar with me reaching out and turning my shovel, because this used to bang on the front of the rack here because this vibrates and turns around. So finally moved these brackets, getting ready for the variety trip, and that'll be a lot less of an issue going forward. Just up here on the roof, putting the Kaon angled brackets on. You can see the one on the far side that I've already mounted. Now when you order these, you do need to specify with Kaon whether you've got a 4 or a wider 5 slat rack. I'm guessing it's got to do with the folds. Just wanted to say while I was up here, I love the Kaon hardware that these guys send out. These little stainless steel screws with the Allen key fitting are great, and the blocks are bigger. These are my old blocks. Like, they send you new ones with everything, which is awesome. These are better than just about anything. They're better than the Rhino Rack ones. They're better than the Front Runner ones. They're bigger, and they sit in the channel better, and just, yeah, really good. Anyway, let's get this second bracket fitted and get the MaxTrax installed. So you can see already how much roof rack space I'm going to gain back. Like, there will be a cost in terms of fuel efficiency, but I don't think it'll be that bad. Anyway, let's find out. It's always a nice fitting, nice feeling when they fit first time. So yeah, I've literally just bolted those up, fitted them as far forward as possible. Yeah, and the cool thing is, because I've got the Pioneer rack with the tradesman bars, I could never mount my MaxTrax horizontally across, because the MaxTrax ever so slightly sort of almost overlap the railing there. But with this fitting, it's not an issue. And yeah, they take up hardly any space on the rack. So let's get the rest of them up there. So I will say this, it's probably not quite as easy, although maybe it is because you can see a bit better. But yeah, pretty happy. Fortunately, I've got the side steps to stand up on here, so yeah, pretty happy. I'll just go and lock the other side off. So yeah, the shovel this side makes it a little tricky. But if anything, these lock-off plugs are easier to reach. There's always one, and I suspect it's this one that was tight. Might loosen him a little. Yeah, that's all it took. Just a little bit of adjustment. Good as gold. So here we are, just back checking on the inverter. The fan's not going anymore. It is drawing 26, 27 watts. Yeah, light's still on. I'm feeling like maybe checking the laptop and seeing what the charge on the laptop is. Interestingly, I've just unplugged the laptop because I'm going to boot it up, and the inverter is still drawing 10 watts. I assume it's the inverter. Nothing else is, well, yeah, nothing else is plugged in. So yeah, just booting the laptop up now. Now, I ran this down to about 50% yesterday, I think. Okay, so let's have a look. What's our... So this thing is back up to 85% already, which is pretty cool. So we'll plug it in and just test fitting another item that I got for the trip. These are some foam socks to filter the air intake for crossing the Simpsons. So they seem to be coated in something, so I'm not actually sure what that is. I'll have to look on the website. They're kind of sticky and oily, if anything, and that's straight out of the bag. So anyway, I'll look into that. But it fits, so yeah, cool. So if that pitch is anything to go by, it looks like you mount it longitudinally along the rack, and these tabs here, two at either end, actually fix off to the rack. Now this is the mounting hardware. Now you see what I mean about how that's just not as nice as what the Kaon guys are shipping with their stuff, and this is genuine Rhino rack gear. The plates are not as thick, so they don't sit up. They're actually harder to get the screws into because they sit down in the bottom of the channels. Yeah, classic case of the aftermarket guys doing a better job. Okay, so this is the diesel tank that I got through Outback Equipment. And look, these things are bloody expensive for what they are. I think it was 260 bucks. Obviously you can buy jerry cans at 20 bucks a piece. The thing that I like about this is comes with a breather pre-installed. Yeah, simple fill mechanism. It's designed to be used while it's actually still on your roof. You can see down in there we've actually got a outlet. So there's that outlet there, just for a closer look. So it's got both clamp and thread fittings on there. So you've got your options. So my intention is to put a hose on that, run it, so mount it up there somewhere, run the hose along the rack, and then have it long enough so that I can pull it down and decant into the fuel tank, leaving the tank, leaving this tank up there. So as you've probably noticed, the first issue I've got is that either this bracket's not made for standard jerry cans, or this tank is shorter than a standard jerry can. I don't know what kind of jerry cans this Rhino rack thing is made for, but I just measured the one I've got on the back there, and it's actually shorter than this one. So anyway, we will we might have to put a spacer block or something in there. We'll figure that out. We'll get the rack mounted first. Okay, so here I am putting together my fuel solution for the Simpson Desert trip. So yeah, I've got this 40 litre storage tank that I got from Outback Equipment. You may have seen that already. Not sure what I said last time, but I think I've checked since now and then. It was 179 bucks, which is way more expensive than 2 jerry cans, I know. One of the reasons I went with this solution is it's got a breather here, so for emptying, fill port on the top, but more useful is it has a outlet down the bottom. Now, no, it comes just completely open with no tap or anything on there, which is what these bad boys are for. So you don't see that very often, do you? Made in Italy. So I picked these up from my local NZ. Really wasn't sure where to get fittings suitable for use with diesel, and the guys at NZ hooked me up. So the plan is, and I got some hose there. I think I picked that up at Repco, 10mm diesel hose, and some spare clamps as well. So the plan is short bit of hose on here with one of the taps on it, which will allow me to turn it on and off, and that'll stay connected all the time. And then I'm going to make a second longer hose with a tap on the end of it that can hook into the back end of the tap I put here. So there'll be 2 taps. So basically that'll allow me to attach and remove the hose when I need to decant diesel. your guess is as good as mine as to how long it's going to take to decant 40 litres of diesel through a 10mm hose. But what it means is I don't have to clamber up on the roof and try and lift a jerry can down that's full of diesel and all the rest of it. So the proof will be in the pudding when we test this. So anyway, I can't do this and hold the camera at the same time, so we'll get this hooked up, at least the first bit, and I'll come back. So there's the first section of hose on. So honestly, it probably would have stayed on there without the clamps, but yeah, given it's on the car, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to stop this banging on the roof rack. I've got some ideas for that. I think originally I was thinking about making this shorter, but decided to make it a bit longer and use the natural curve in the hose so it can angle towards the back, because I'm going to try and put this on the roof sort of as close as possible to the front to keep the load off the rear axles. So yeah, very simple. When the lever's in line with the fixture, it's open. When it's at 90 degrees, it's closed. So very simple to operate. Even I should be able to keep that one straight. So yeah, really nice fittings and made in Italy. There you go. Anyway, we'll get this in the bracket on the roof and go from there. Okay, so a little more progress. Got the wolf pack there strapped in, the tyre, the extra spare strapped on at the front behind the MaxTrax. Height wise, they're really good. So I've modded the jerry can storage to hold that in, because yeah, the rack, the storage thing from Rhino is a little bit longer than the actual container. Here's my problem though. I was wanting to put my tent on this side of the rack down along there. If I put the jerry can in that location, I'm only left with about 17 centimeters, which is not enough. I should be able to move it over, except for the fact that I've got these eyelets here that I'm using to actually anchor the wolf pack to. So it might be that the solution is to use the eyelets to anchor the container bracket, and maybe that ends up being the answer. I'm not 100% sure. There's probably not room distance wise to actually turn an eyelet, so that's possibly not going to work. Yeah, I guess yeah, we'll have to look into this. Anyway, let's see what we figure out. Okay, so got the solution for the tank. Left one of the rings over the far side down there to anchor the wolf pack, and was able to then mount the tank in the center, leaving space on the other side, and have just ratchet strapped it in. So that's rock solid, that's going nowhere. So yeah, tank's bolted in, and let me show you what I'm doing with the hose. So had a change of plan with the hose. Yeah, had to trim the strap on the side of this bracket. So hose is going to sit basically like that. I'll cable tie it in place, and I'm going to put the tap sort of just about here, just after a cable tie, so it won't vibrate on anything, and it'll be nice and accessible, and I'll be able to run down the side to the fuel cap right there to fill it up. So that's the plan, and it's left all this space on the side of the rack here empty. So just finalizing the install for the tank, and yes, it has started raining. So always good when you leave your trip prep to the day before and it starts raining. But as you can see, got this hose installed now, running sort of out of the side of the container down under the rack, and I've just got that zip tied, and then I've got the tap installed here below the rack, so that when the time comes I can just push a hose onto that, and we can run the diesel down into the tank. So time will tell whether the MacGyver solution there of cable ties holds up or not, but I'll have plenty of spares with me, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, so this is me on my front step, sheltering from the rain, trying to do some 12 volt work. this is just bound for success. So this is the inverter I got from J-Car. I'm going to convert this to an Anderson plug so I can run it off the Anderson so it's a bit more secure and doesn't vibrate loose. So I've just disassembled this plug. Hopefully you can see there. So I'll just trim that up and then connect it up to an Anderson connector. So that way I'll have this and my lights running off the Anderson connector on the companion and shouldn't have anything else, and that should work. So here we are with the Anderson plug all wired up. Sorted it in the end. Yeah, right, I didn't sort it. Couldn't figure out which was the positive, which was the negative, and so decided to play it safe and took it down to my local auto elec, who helped me out and actually wired this on for me. They did have to pull the back off the inverter just to see where the wires were actually wired, because there's no labeling at all. So one more job ticked over. We'll get this installed. Okay, so it is the morning of heading off for the variety trip. So this is what I managed to get done in terms of relocating the companion. So it's nicely strapped in, little timber shelf here on the side of the drifter unit, which is accessible out the side of the EMU wing, which is pretty cool. So I can get a readout straight away. There, the GoPro batteries up there charging, so there's a little shelf up there that I put in, and the cord runs up through the shelf so they won't fall off. Got the fire extinguisher mounted. Hopefully that's the drone down there. Hopefully we'll get some footage from that. So pretty neat and tidy here, nice and accessible. So back's not completely full yet, amazingly. So yeah, more camera gear there in that drifter bag. It's got the Sony and the GoPros in there. Not too much has changed in the back here, except moving the companion over there has given me more storage space, which is cool. So this looks a bit empty because I've still got to pick up Mark and get his gear in here, and I also still have to throw my clothes bag in here. The back seat is kind of full, so yeah, sleeping mattress, sleeping bag, portable toilet that we may or may not use, sand flag, laptop. So just on the laptop, you might recall I tested the inverter, little 150 watt inverter plugged into the companion. It worked, so I cut the SIG plug off, got a double adapter for the Anderson. Unfortunately, as soon as I plugged it in, it's like the Anderson detected too much load, so I think I've reached the limit of the companion. I'm now going to have to get another little inverter this morning with the SIG plug back on, and I'll have to use that separate, you know, I'll have to sort that out. So anyways, all good. Let me show you up on the roof. So she's pretty well loaded up. So MaxTrax at the front on the Kaon angle brackets, spare tire, tent and drifter Stockton ensuite tent, 2 Wolfpack boxes here. One's got all my recovery gear in it, the other's got all the spares that they require you bring along. It's this one here, and that's the 40 litre tank, and just down in there is the hose to let the diesel out of that tank. So yeah, just finished loading the car. It's like 7 AM. Gonna have a shower, finish packing the clothes, throw them in the car, have some breakfast and hit the road.